Because what are they really doing for us? What are any of those people doing for us other than giving us nonsense? Like it's basically making us chase the wind. We're literally grabbing for nothing, and they're winning. They're really winning. All these politicians that get up there and make all these big bucks, and all these so-called leaders, they're not leaders. They're horrible people. They're horrible people, and all they're doing is putting stuff out there to make us fight each other. No, I've never ever heard anybody stand up recently, like the last decade, and said, yo, we have to stick together, all of us, both sides, no problems, no stuff. Like, we have to stick together. Stop causing problems that make us more divided. So today I wanted to talk about something that was not my normal, like, kind of, I guess, topic, where it would be like you learning something, the definition of a word and what it really means and how people should apply it to their life. This conversation is more about, like, what is life about? What are we doing here? Why are we living the lives that we live? And so it's like, it's not really a learning topic. It is learning, but not in the sense where I'm trying to show someone how to get back on track. I mean, maybe it could possibly be that a little bit, but it's more about information to make you think a little bit more differently about life instead of just subscribing to a club, meaning like you belong to a club, you belong to a church, you do things, you go to a job, you build things, you live your life, you live with family, you deal with problems, and then you die. I always look at life, it's like, there's got to be so much more. There's got to be so much more, because there is actually more to life. All the times that we spend with loved ones, friends, going out to eat, going to events, going on vacations, all those times that kind of come to an end eventually, and you're like kind of sad, like, I wish this time could last forever. I've noticed that there's little hints of God everywhere, and I know people probably don't want to hear this, but if just hear me out first. It's not a bad thing. This is why I always go back to saying that I am not religious, because if we started from the very, very, very beginning, if God made humanity, he made humans first. He didn't make up religions. He didn't make up the groups. He didn't make the division. We did. Humanity makes the division. We cause the problems. We are trying to figure out what right and wrong is when we already have been given us the right information from God in the very, very beginning. This is why I always go back to the Bible, because the Bible was written by people, but God wrote it through them, because people that were paying attention, they were the one writing the Bible down. So this is why I get into the whole debate of evolution doesn't exist, religions don't exist. Most of the things that you see, yes, physically they are there and we state them in presentations or facts, but they don't really exist. So now there's this big argument back and forth of who is right and who is wrong. It's just like Bill Burr said it really good. Bill Burr said, okay, the earth is flat, earth is round argument. Okay, let's say they do prove the earth is flat. Now what? Like, now what? Now what do we do with that? Those same people that say the earth is flat and the other people that say the earth is round, they're both arguing, but it's like, have they really come to the conclusion of what the end goal of this place is called Earth? Like, do they really know what they're talking about? Because I know people that believe in flat Earth, and I know people that believe in the round Earth, but it's like, they're still, I hate to say it, I don't want to say any kind of foul words on this podcast really, but jackasses. Like, they're people that are ignorant, they're people that are not nice, they're people that are prideful, and they have all this, they consumed all this information, so now they think they're intelligent. So now you can never really get a good conversation with them because they're not fully understanding why God put us here. That is not our pay grade to try to get to Mars. I know there's intelligent people out there, but it's like, okay, why are you trying to get to Mars? Why are we trying to establish life on a planet other than Earth when we can't even get it right on Earth? We can't even get humanity what we're supposed to be doing on Earth. We can't get it right here. So why are you trying to go and live on another planet? These are the things that like come up in my mind all day, you know, when I'm at work by myself, talking to myself. And it's like no one's really thinking about these things. It's like, why has God put us here? Why is there so many generations? And it's like, and I'm not asking you this question because I don't know. I'm asking you this question to bring you to an understanding of like what is really going on. Because we do all this stuff to fill our time. And I always say that we're basically, humanity is entertaining itself before it dies. That's all we're doing. No one's really trying to find out the truth. We're all worried about our taxes and how much taxes we're paying and what medical coverage we have. I'm like, yo, you're going to die anyway. So what are you so consumed with living this shallow life and never ever coming to an understanding of what real true life is? Like what meaning truly is, what the end goal is, what God's end goal is. This is why I always step back and I put myself in the position of God to see what we're doing here. And as you can see, like the world is slowly deteriorating. When you look at people and you talk to people, all you have to do is ask them a question like, one, are you listening to me? Did you understand that word? If you're talking about someone that died, like there's no real genuine care. Everything is like, there's no conscience anymore. And then I looked this up because just like, it kind of states it perfectly. And I think, you know, whether people want to agree with me or not, but Hitler said it, I want to make a generation void of a conscience. Void of consciousness, kind of like not to, like a cruel world. Like, if that statement is true, right? Let's say you didn't say it. Who cares? But what I'm saying, if that statement is true, we are there. As humanity, as a group of humans in the whole world, billions of people, we are there. We are at the point of time where we are void, meaning there is no conscience. There's a lack of. So it says refers to a state lacking awareness, understanding, or mental activity. And this is where I say, like, we're becoming these robots that don't fully function and with the initial emotions that we were designed for. It's like there is some unknown evil, which I believe in. You know, I believe in that. There is an unseen evil that, you know, you can call it the devil, you can call it. It's almost like God has given this to us as an enemy, because Satan, the word Satan means, it means our enemy. It's pronounced Satan. And it's almost like God has given us this enemy to say, who are you choosing in this world? Like, really think about it. Really step back and go, this world is crazy how complicated it is. There is problems, but it's so perfect in every way that if I was God, I'm like, this is what I would do if I created humanity and gave them free will. If I gave humanity free will, what would I do so I could show them what is really right and really wrong? I would give them an enemy. I would give them someone that does evil. And it's like, you know, people don't really think about this deep enough that you have people going, oh, you know, like when they're having a bad day and they'll post up, not today, Satan, or not today, devil. And it's like, I don't know if they really understand the concept of the voices in our head, and that it's like the enemy will talk to you and tell you to do wrong, and then you'll go out and do it. It's not like the devil is driving your car and killing people for you. You're the one that listens to the evil voice in your head and goes out and causes destruction. So it's like when you start to see that, you want to be the person that stands out from the crowd and does right, does good, doesn't talk about people, doesn't get involved in the jealousy and the bull crap and the hating and the talking trash on people and the physical fighting, killing, the nonsense that the enemy has given us as a way of life, and then God over here has given us a way of life. And if you really like notice the world, like when you talk to people, they really don't know how to connect. Especially when I go out shopping, every time I see someone that's happy or smiling or making eye contact, it's usually an older person, but I always invite that right away. But for the most part, like a higher percentage of it when I go out shopping and I check out at the whatever at the end of the line, and it's like you can't even talk to the person because they're not even looking up. They don't want to look at you. And it's like they're lifeless. And that's what the world is trying to do. It's trying to make you void of emotions, void of caring, void of loving. I would recommend to you to stop doing that. Go in reverse and start caring. Start watching things that gives you emotions. Start watching things that makes you a more loving person. If you read, then read good books. Read or listen to audiobooks that makes you understand what being human really is. And it's not going to a church building, because like I said, if God started humanity in the beginning, he didn't do religions. He didn't do all this extra stuff. Humanity does all this extra stuff to get back on God's good side. Because in the very beginning, when humanity fell away from God's relationship, because this is where we're going. This is the end goal for God, is to get us back into the God relationship, the agape relationship. That's what they would call it. You know, there's the languages, the 5 words for the different love. There's eros, there's agape, there's phileo. Like these are all like different loves: family, brotherly love, godly love, or romantic love. So it's like God in this state where we're living in earth, like this lifetime, we only live for so many years. God's trying to see what we're doing to get back to the God relationship. I don't care what you say, because a human being only knows so much in the set amount of years that they're here, right? Meaning, like, I always said to myself, I'm like, how is anybody going to figure out the right religion to be in? How is anybody going to figure that out? You can't. This is why in the Bible it says the devil is the author of confusion. The more confusing this world is, it's harder to come to the right decision of who's right. This is why we're fighting. It's like, I'm right, you're wrong. You're right, I'm wrong. Like we can't come to a conclusion or a decision and agree, right? But we can all agree as human beings what love is. And I made a video about love, saying what love is. It's like not lying, not cheating, not hurting someone, not killing another person, another human being. Like, we can all agree on that. I don't care who you are. I don't want to hear it. You can all agree across the board that we can all know what emotions are and behaviors are as human beings. Take away all the clubs and all the affiliations and all the groups and all the churches and all the worldviews. If you take all that away, where did we start? We started with God, and we started with behavior towards God and us. And what happened is we fell away as human beings. We fell away and started to say, God, I'm going to do my own thing now. I'm going to make up the rules of what good and evil is. And now look how good we're doing. So God allows us, just like you're a parent, you allow your kids, because you have to give your kids free will, to experience life. And then, you don't want to, as a parent, you don't want to see them fall. You don't want to see them fail, but sometimes you have to let them so they can learn. I feel a parent that saves their child from every single thing in the world is never going to let them understand or live life in the normal sense. And then they become tainted. Like, they just don't live life normally. So when you look at God, and God gave us life, it's like there's a direct correlation with us and God. God made humans, and then he gave us free will. But he also gave us 2 choices, evil and good. And it's like he gave us that opportunity. When we make children, we give our children free will. They go out into the world, and they can experience good and evil. It's crazy. I always say this to people. And it's like, the story of Genesis is like everybody says, oh, it was because we ate from the tree and we bit the apple. And I get it. Like, it's like there's like this what do you call it? Storyline that sounds kind of corny. Hold on a second, I'm just looking for something. It sounds kind of corny, but it's okay. So like Genesis is like, it was like they ate from the tree, they bit from the apple, and now they are fallen from humanity because God said don't eat from the tree. What God was really saying was don't eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. But I really do feel that God wanted us to experience that and eat from that tree. And what eating from the tree was partaking in, meaning we started to understand what good and evil was, what God understood, what good and evil was, because God is God. So God's outside our realm, our pay grade. So it's like we can't really totally understand, but we can understand fundamentals like good and evil. We do understand what good and evil is because we choose to do them every day, whether it's a small evil, a small good, or a bigger evil, like killing someone or just talking about someone behind their back. It's all evil because it was never meant for good. So partaking in understanding what good and evil is what we did. And then we started making our own rules up. So God allowed us, I really do feel God allowed us to understand what good and evil is. And I always say to people, it's funny, and I'm sure you've probably seen this before, a lot of people have seen this before, but I say, it's funny how there's the world over generations and generations and generations of stories that they don't really change, but it's crazy how on this phone, it says, it's like the logo, the Apple logo, and there's a bite out of it. It's kind of cool. I don't remember where this originated from exactly, but it's kind of an underlying message where I've noticed things that, that's the logo, and it represents Genesis, which is the beginning of the Bible, where humanity partaking in the understanding of the knowledge of good and evil, right? So they bit the apple. That's what they're saying. And it's funny, on this phone, you can get either good or evil. And we choose to give this to our kids every day as a babysitter and let them decide what good and evil is. And this is why most of humanity and kids, or the younger generation, are coming out going in the direction of evil because the algorithm of the phone wants to give you evil. It's not a normal, genuine good. It doesn't understand. It just gives you what you look up. Every time you look up something, it gives you more of it. So I always say when you practice something, you get better at it. So the more things that are evil that go in your eyes, it makes you more evil. It makes you want to see more evil. It makes that entertainment towards, like, that's your entertainment is evil. Seeing people suffer, seeing people fight in the streets, seeing people argue over a politician, seeing people argue over a political view. All these things that we're seeing is not normal behavior for humanity, and this is why we're losing, and this is why we will lose. And there's only going to be a certain amount of people that will stand out from the crowd, and this is what God's end goal is, because there's a verse in the Bible that says the meek will inherit the earth. It doesn't say Christians, it doesn't say Catholics, it doesn't say any religious group. It says the meek will inherit the earth. The meek, what is the meek? What is the meek? The people that will lie down their lives for someone else. The people that will stand up for right things. People that don't want evil, that don't want the war that we have. They don't want to fight with you. Like, that is what the meek is, because that makes more sense to me. That if I was God, I would make all these people, and I would say, I'm going to give you a certain amount of years on this planet, every lifetime, whatever it is. And I want to see what you do with it. I want to see how you treat your own body, one. I want to see how you treat other people, two. I want to see how you treat family members, three. And then the list goes on, like your friends, your romantic relationships. See, religion will tell you, you have to get it right across the board with all these different things. Different prayers, praying to a certain point of view. All these weird things is what humanity has made up and put in the religion and then say God's there. That's why when people tell me like, oh, you're so religious, I'm like, I'm not religious at all. I'm human and I'm living the life that God gave me and I'm preserving it. I'm taking care of it. I'm trying my best. Trust me. Some people get on my nerves. I get it. You want to punch people. I get it. But what I'm trying to do is in every part of my being, like I'm trying to live the best life to show God that I can be trusted with a life that'll never end. I don't think people really get it. They think everybody's like, I know probably a lot of people will fight me on this, but it's like everybody's going to heaven. Everybody's doing this. Everybody's playing instruments in a cloudy looking city. Like we watch TV too much. We watch TV way too much. And we get this visual in our head and then we get stuck. And we have to come to a real like conclusion in our mind saying, okay, life is much more than this. And it makes more sense to me that God is overseeing all the generations to see what we choose to do in this lifetime, because then God is picking the people that are the meek, the right-minded people, the people that he could trust in a life that never ends. No more suffering, no more tears, no more pain. That makes more sense to me while we're here. Not to just do religious things and then go back out into the world and treat people like trash. Because that's what religious people do. And I'm sorry if you feel bad about the way I'm saying it, but then you should change then. Really become a genuine person. Become a genuine person that cares about people. Because I've experienced it. I've experienced it in my life, like with customers, with certain friends that, they're just not genuine people, but they're the type of people that'll stay, I belong to this club and I put money towards this whatever, group, and I help these people and I help these people. And it's like, yeah, but you're still a jerk on Monday. Like you're still a jerk. So it's like, you're not really learning anything from this life. The point of this life is to learn something. And I've noticed most people, when they come to their end of their life, is when they start really learning, is when they start regretting, like, oh, maybe I should have changed this relationship. Maybe I should have reached out to this person and said sorry. And that's where you don't want to get it right in the end. I mean, you can. I'm not saying you can't. But what I mean is like start living right now. It makes more sense that God is trying to look over all the earth for the people that stand out. That's why I said the word holy. I said the word holy means it really means set apart. It doesn't mean that you constantly pray 4 times a day. It doesn't mean that you never do anything wrong or don't say a curse word. God's looking for the people that are flawed, that are trying to do the right thing, knowing deep down that we have a broken body, but are trying to do the right thing. That's what God is looking for. It makes so much sense. It makes so much more sense than just doing a whole bunch of junk all day and then thinking you're right with God. But then you treat your neighbor wrong. How does that make any sense to you? How do you not see that as like, well, maybe I should change my life. Maybe I should change the way I am. All I know is that from like what you see now, people are even more lifeless. They don't know how to say hello. I do feel, I could be saying this just because I grew up in the 80s and 90s, 70s, whatever, but it was a great time period, the 80s, because there was more physical connection. There was like just the right point in time where we had enough technology where it didn't destroy us, but enough where it kept us really connected. Like today you're saying, AT&T will say, oh, stay connected, buy 17,000 phones for your family. And then they were all sitting around the table, not even talking to each other, but we're on TikTok and Instagram. So how is that connected? The evil voice is telling you to be on your phone and to stay away from relationship. And even during like that thing around 2020 where everybody was staying away from each other, that was all, to me, very planned, very strategic to make humans less connected, even more less connected, more angry that this one's doing that and this one's doing that. And a lot of people fall for it. A lot of people are falling for the division. And I would say nobody's right. No sides are right. We're just not getting it right. Because I literally have no problems with almost everybody. Like I never get into an argument about anything political because there's no reason to. Because what are they really doing for us? What are any of those people doing for us? Other than giving us nonsense. Like it's basically making us chase the wind. We're literally grabbing for nothing, and they're winning. They're really winning. All these politicians that get up there and make all these big bucks, and all these so-called leaders, they're not leaders. They're horrible people. They're horrible people, and all they're doing is putting stuff out there to make us fight each other. No, I've never, ever heard anybody stand up recently, like the last decade, and said, yo, we have to stick together, all of us, both sides, no problems, no stuff. Like, we have to stick together. Stop causing problems that make us more divided. It's like I've never seen anyone say that. That's why I said no one out there is really trying to save the world, because they would start talking about what is the end goal for this world? What is the end goal for life? I'm actually telling you right now, the end goal is for you to become a better person, to know who God is, become a better person, and live right-minded. That's where I always say the word repent. The word repent doesn't mean you go to church and you say you're sorry and then you go back out in the world and be I want to use a bad word, but I can't. A horrible human being. You cannot do it. That's not how it works. It's not how it works with God. I don't know why everybody thinks God's on our level and he thinks like us. God does not think like us. We have made up the bad choices and the bad decisions and the bad rules that we're experiencing all these problems now. But yeah, God is interested in your character. Who are you in the story? That's why I said, like, the Bible. It's like, even if you look at the Bible, like, who are you in this story? The Bible is so well written, it's insane. And I tell people this because it's like, it's the only book that maybe almost. I mean, I read the whole thing over and over again. I constantly read it. But what I mean is, like, when you really read it, it's almost like there was a television production company there, because there is so much information there in one chapter, whatever, one story, and it's all written down perfectly. And on top of that, it has a learning lesson in it. Who thought about that? Who thought about that thousands of years ago, going, oh, we got to write this down for generations to come because this makes a lot of sense? No, it was all put together perfectly, almost like a manual for humanity to follow and really pay attention. Not to go and just memorize a verse, but to actually take it apart and say, who was there recording this? Like, sometimes, like, if you like look at some parts of the Bible, like Moses is talking to God. Moses is talking to God. No one else is around. But it was written down perfectly accurate what the learning lesson was there. And it's like, who was recording this? And who felt the need to record it? Like, listen, I did a lot of stuff in my lifetime. I never wrote it down. There was no reason to write it down. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. Like, it's very intricate and perfect in every way, meaning it wasn't just written on a whim. If you're really paying attention, there's a learning lesson in every story. So that's why I said, okay, if there's that much value in the Bible and there's so much value in life, then there's got to be an end goal for this life, a much bigger end goal, because there are so much cool things here on earth that we've created. And I always look at that like that. You know, some people go, we go to heaven when we die, we become energy. I have some friends that say that they become energy, but I'm like, why would you become energy and just float around in nothingness forever? Like, forever is a long time. Please think about it. Sometimes we believe our own lies because it makes us feel better in the time period, because then it makes us think that we solved it and we don't have to worry about it no more. But you do have to be concerned with it in a way, because if you became energy, it's like, look at all this cool stuff we have. Like I always look at like the cars and the bikes and the stuff that I do and the art that I've done. And I'm like, wow, that was really important, valuable. And it meant so much to me or someone else. And then you're saying to me, like, we'll live this awesome life with great friends, great family, and then we die and become a ball of energy? You have to really think about what we're believing in. Everyone. Because I always say it. I've always said it. Anything I looked at, I say to myself, does it make sense to me? Does it make sense? And once it stops making sense, I go away from it. Because if you stay on something that doesn't make sense, you will get stuck. And some of my friends that believe in certain things, I'm not trying to make you aggravated with me, but I'm just trying to bring you to an understanding that this world is much more important and way more complicated and perfect than you think. And there is an end goal. And then there is a God that's looking over us. And there is a God that wants to change our character, every single one of us, and be connected. Because of it, just even though we have differences, God wants us connected. That's basically what I wanted to say with this. I have so many more things to say, but hopefully, like in the next couple months, I'll do a video every couple days. It's really complicated. It's not easy talking to yourself. I talk to myself all day at work, but once you got to stare at a camera and try to come up with thoughts, it's not as easy as you think. But yeah, so it's basically it. There is an end goal for life. And I would say to remember this, like a credit card company will give you a credit card for $300 when you're first starting out and you're young. They'll give you that credit card for $300. And then over the course of a year, if you do well with that credit card, they'll give you $1,000. Do you see what I'm saying? Can you see what I'm saying? It's like there's I'm hoping this is right. It's Luke. It's in the Bible. Luke 16:10. It says, whoever can be trusted with little can be trusted with much. God's saying in the Bible, he's like, if I can trust you with the little bit of time that you have on earth, then I can give you eternity. It's insane. God wants to give us the greatest thing. It's like your parent wants to give you the greatest life ever. God wants to give us the greatest life ever, and we're just throwing it in the trash by fighting each other every day. We're throwing it in the trash. If you think that you're going to go to church and do a whole bunch of stuff and then come out and talk trash on people and be physically violent, you lost. You already lost, and you're still going to lose. This is why the world's going downhill. I would say to you is listen to me. I'm telling you the truth. Change your life right now. Know who God is and start being a better human being.